Hello, key holders, and welcome back to another video. My name is Brogard DM, and we are going to be continuing our series of Top 250 today. This is going to be another episode of Our Life, which I believe was number 118 on the list. Yes, I am correct about that. Yeah, when we last left off, we spoke with Cove for the first time, as well as met our mothers, which is Mom and Mommy, which I had trouble identifying at first. But yeah, we ended the story with setting up a play date with Cove and deciding that we were going to be fond but nervous about our relationship with him. So let us continue step one with that set in place. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin the video. I liked the voice from last time, looking at the recording, so I'm going to continue using that same voice for the narrator, and yeah, let's do this. At the breakfast table the next morning, you finish your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you'd stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Mommy. Excited to see your new friend again, Aura. Sweet. You nodded, smiling slightly. Don't use narrator voice, Jesus.
Sweet.
Sweet. How sweet. I'm so happy you moved in.
Okay.
With that said, you're done with your breakfast? Your bowl was entirely empty, so you nodded. Mm-hmm. Good job. He should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Aura, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door. Hey, Brogard's family. Hey, Brogard family. God, that's gonna get weird. I'm gonna regret that. I should have just done something like Raven. Can't fix it now. We'll continue with it. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room. And when he wasn't crying, with his dad standing in front of him and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. You twisted the crystal bead. Oh, I get to decide what bracelet I have. Threaded, crystal. I think it'd be crystals. I'm a little kid. I feel like I'd be happy with shiny things. It'd either be crystals or shells, but I think I like crystal. Do you want to see my room? Okay.
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
See you later, son. Play nice. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. He leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. Me too. Okay. I need to remember he's a kid. Okay. I need to add a little bit of a nasal to his voice. You smiled at him again. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little bit more, studying the books on your desk, the pictures on your walls. You started to feel a bit nervous. You felt the atmosphere was kind of awkward. You hoped he liked your room. I feel like that's kind of like I feel like that's accurate. It still encompasses the nervousness that I feel like the character is going to feel, but at the same time, I feel like it also is like a hopeful expression. You had put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. I hoped you didn't say anything bad about it. Then his eyes landed on a tiny box of beach things you'd collected, tucked away by your door. Took a step toward it before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh.
Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Co flopped down next to it. Yeah. You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand. Neat. This is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it nice, or to be like Chalo. He actually meant it. Chalo, okay. Chalo is coming over. Chalo? My sister's friend, he wants to meet you. Do I have to see him? I'll be okay, I think. Here, I found this shell in a log and... You pulled out seashell after seashell. Explaining... God, he looks so, like, confused. Explaining where you'd gotten each one, holding them up against the light. And you should have read that in the female voice, but the face got to me. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Over the past few years... Okay. Over the past few years, you'd even learned some of their scientific names. That'd be accurate. You had a whole picture book dedicated to different shells and sea life. You'd learn a lot by flipping through its pages. Apparently fascinated either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus. But Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then, while showing him your collection. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. He guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent did happen. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you'd both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells, so I'm gonna keep looking at them. Great! Bust it open. We can keep looking while we wait for Shiloh. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. You can take it? Cove looked at you in surprise, his eyes growing wide. Really? Sure, you like it a lot, right? But I want to take it from you. It's okay. You get the impression he was hesitant to accept something, because he didn't know you very well. You insisted. I'm not letting that go. Take it. No, it's okay for you. You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive the present, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his side. It was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. Cove was your neighbor now. Maybe you could give it to him another time. The two of you were still sitting on the floor, looking through your collection of beach findings, and the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend. You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. I'm sorry, there's nowhere to go. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked onto the back of the house. I can go out the window. He was already walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say, you step forward, then pause. Please don't get hurt. I'm not adventurous. I think please don't get hurt. I'm worried. What if something happens? The distance from the first floor living room window wasn't far, but you could tell it made Cove nervous anyway. He touched the cast on his arm. The wind had clearly released from his cells. I don't want to break any more bones. I don't think anyone wants to. Yeah. I don't want to see him. I don't know him. You comforted him. I'm not like a playful tease. I think comforting. You're right. Meeting new people is really hard. Sorry. Thanks. Philip poked his head into the living room. It was impossible to know for sure if he had heard what you'd been saying or not, but you guessed that he had. Oh, God, I'm gonna have to come up with some crazy voice for you just by the look of ya. I have to. Aura? Yep, that's it. And, hi, Cove? Cove shot you an uneasy glance. Hi. I'm Chalo. It's nice to meet you. I thought you were gonna be a female until they said he, honestly. Oh, that was gross. I'm sorry. Yeah. You have a lot of freckles. Right. I do. What are you guys doing? We're looking at shells.
Can I do it too?
Awesome. Can I do it too? God, I almost got his voice spot on. Cove shrugged, then looked back at your box of beach findings. What about that one? The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach things some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove was having fun. You held out a recent find to Cove, a scallop shell that had washed up on the shore. It's a pretty color, kinda like my cast. Oh, you like pink? Cool. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink's a nice color. Okay.
Oh?
Is it your favorite? Not right. What is? Maybe green or blue. It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool.
I guess.
Guess. I kind of want to involve them. I get I'm an antisocial. Not sure how to deal with the suddenly more awkward silence. You look back at your shells. But I kind of want Shiloh to kind of... I kind of want to get involved and get these two to like each other more. Awesome! Both of them smiled. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Where'd she go? She's at the beach, probably. Is she playing in her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park, and he looked towards her, towards you. There's a park? Yep, but it's old. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You two too? Right, Aura. The park is fun. The park is pretty great. Peer pressure. Yeah, it's right at the beach, so there's a lot of fun stuff to do, and lots of sand. There's a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. Sounds like it could be cool.
So are we going to find Lizzie?
I don't know. Never really wanted to see her. I just wanted to check the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you.
Oh, okay.
He perked up, both boys wanting to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short, she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. Oh, it's right on the beach? God, imagine that. When you found her, she was hanging on the jungle gym, swinging back and forth.
Hey, Lizzie. Hey, Lizzie.
Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide.
Aura?
Oh, I need to... Another kid's voice! God, I'm running out of voices.
Aura! Shiloh!
Excited.
Hi.
She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you and scrambled over to stand by her. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cope was here. You wondered if he would leave too.
Who's that? It's Cove. He's new.
Hi.
You remember? Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together.
She gestured widely with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. Convenient. Less needing to draw and animate. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes through the warm sand.
Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas.
You are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Lizzie is the oldest. By a lot. My mom said you're Aura's age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits.
What about other kids?
Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh is just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their... tourists bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal your youth.
Oh.
For a second, it looked like he might cry again. But something in his eyes shifted, and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms and dads, or grandparents?
Grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids.
Why? We haven't done anything.
Only some of them don't like kids.
That's a... I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that this would be more accurate. I don't think everyone would be disliking of kids. Like, some of these grandparents probably have kids. It's just this may be a place where only, like, the rich and, like, maybe retired live. You interjected quickly, hoping Lizzie wouldn't take things too far. Cove sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring to Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care if she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next to speak, completely unaware of the situation.
I met Lizzie and Aura in school. You see tons of kids there once summer's over.
I want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down to the dirt. He hasn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove.
I like summer vacation a lot.
All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed again. At Shiloh's discomfort, at how weird she thought Cove was, something else. Entirely, you didn't really know, but she laughed, face scrunching up.
Okay.
Welcome to Sunset Bird Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it.
You offered him a small smile, and that at least looked to reassure him some. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shalot, and on some days when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. During your first summer together, you really liked Cove. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Moment select, step 1. Okay, so this is all DLC stuff. Like I said, I'm just kind of playing through the game right now. I didn't want to do DLC, since it's probably because of the DLC this game has its thing on the list, but I kind of just want to do my own thing. Shopping. Oh! I was making a choice. I guess shopping's... Oh, hopefully I can choose all of them. I hope not, that I only don't get to choose one. Oh, it does give me the end summer option, so I don't think I only get to choose one. Okay. Since it's a chapter select, how I'll probably do it is we'll probably go through this and then I'll end the episode there. Coves. We'll come back. It gets dark. Before it gets dark, alright, sport? The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you'd been watching inch slowly across the pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention, as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you of when you'd first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made his noise because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little awkward for getting caught. You've got to learn how to be more sneaky. You brushed your hands together to free them of the sand, then jogged over to join the two, smiling at Cove first, then his dad. Aura! Hi.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Aura?
Nothing.
You toed the pavement in front of you. It would be nice to tell them about the snail you found, but you didn't know if they liked snails. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into tiny rectangles. Sounds fun.
It does? You weren't sure about that.
You know, Cove was about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You gave a ready nod, turning to squint in the direction of the stores like you could see the goods they had to offer all the way from where you stood.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind. Great, I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. He found it odd, since your moms only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Here. He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend, too. Sure.
Good kid.
That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up, the bill in his hand, still held out toward the green-haired boy. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then, with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. You followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Cove straight towards the gentle tide, creeping up the sand, and you fell into place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, and there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for snails? Are you looking for shells? I think this would be more accurate. I think that's kind of funny, but I think this would be more accurate to my character. I'm picking a lot of the yellow ones. Cove startled a little at the sound of your voice, mumbled a sort of.
If you see
Any, can you let me know? You could manage that. You dropped your view to the sand, walking carefully so you didn't step on any.
You were good at finding shells. You had a lot of them at home, and always found new ones whenever you visited the beach. The comforting sound of the waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times, and although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word.
I think that... What do you usually do on the beach?
Lots of things. I like boarding and volleyball and surfing and everything. Stuff. The idea of standing on a big board while the waves propelled you towards shore was mystifying. I'm not allowed to surf. It looks hard.
Not once you get the hang of it. I could show you sometime. But I'm also not supposed to surf now, 'cause I have this. He lifted up one arm, showing off the glaring pink cast wrapped around his wrist.
Yeah, that's sad for him. Cove still smiled, though. You thought his nonchalant attitude towards the injury was pretty brave.
I also like collecting stuff that's on the shore. Shells, sand dollars. I found a shark tooth once.
You did?
Cove stretched out his forefinger and thumb. It was this long.
That was somehow both scary and delightful. No way!
I mean, I still have it under my bed.
You'd have to remember to ask him to show it to you sometime.
So,
What about you? What do you do out here? I like looking at fish.
They don't like me, so they always swim away if I get close, but they're pretty before that.
Ooh, starfish are fun. They aren't going anywhere, even if you touch them.
A small laugh escaped you. It's true. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean. But there were other scents too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. It was nice. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step as you began looking at all the familiar sights. There were so many things to do, you didn't know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other, with a look in his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out.
What's that?
Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about.
Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander.
In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read, "The Amazing Alexander," in glittery golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on a sign? Cove hummed with understanding, then turned to walk away just as the amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. You bit your lip, reluctantly starting to follow after Cove again. You continued looking over your shoulder, however, wanting to see as much as you could before you got too far away.
Hey, not watching where you were going proved a bad idea as you bumped right into Cove.
Oh, sorry.
Did you want to stay or something?
That's okay.
He briefly lifted his arms up off his sides before returning them to place. You could have said so. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds.
Watch closely.
You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, just my little add-on. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers, and the card just disappeared. Wow! The amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind of smile.
What's this behind your ear?
Nothing? It was true. You didn't keep anything there. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer. You wrinkled your nose in confusion as you watched him. You felt a tug, then he pulled the 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. You knew that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't get how he'd done it. There was a light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow.
This is for you.
The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle.
And one for your friend, too. Thank you for being my assistant.
Wow. Now you were really grateful he chose you. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd.
Pick a card. Any card.
My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons. The stuff with the cards. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. He wondered if Cove's whole family was magic. If so, he was lucky. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display.
We picked up a Rubik's Cube.
Oh, will you hold my balloon while I look at this?
Cove nodded, taking your balloon and holding it in the same hand as his own, so you could not get a good grip on the cube. He stood next to you and watched as you attempted to match the colored rows. You managed to line up all the green squares on one side of the cube, but there were still 5 more sides to go. Deciding that it was something that you should continue another time, you set the cube back on the rack and took your balloon from Cove, who moved to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Are you having fun? Did you have places like this in your old town? Cove blinked at you for a moment, and you wonder if you shouldn't have asked. You knew how much he missed that place. Not really. You nodded in understanding, looking over at the stalls nearby.
Just an innocent kid question.
Ooh! While Cove looked at sand pails, you were drawn to the table with colorful keychains laid out on it. They were sewn in the shapes of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read, "Handmade," standing proudly in front. There were lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, a turtle.
I'm gonna pick up the... I already have a dolphin. I'm gonna pick up the turtle.
Your hand stopped on the sleeping turtle, just barely poking its head out of its shell. It had flecks of metallic green on its back that caught the sunlight when you picked it up. You remembered the turtles you had seen in a movie. You had been mesmerized by the way they gently glided through the water. You were instantly enamored. Checking the price, though, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing.
God, those days were nice.
You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh, it's $6. I didn't bring any money.
It's fine.
Really? Really? You don't have to.
I feel like this would be what I would say.
Cove didn't mind that. He took the keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too.
I was always gonna get you something. I already got the money for it.
You were a little nervous, but happy with your purchase nonetheless. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you, too. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the shore side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. You watched Cove hold up his new pail to see to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove?
Yeah?
Thanks for getting me it.
It's alright.
It wasn't clear if you really knew how much you appreciated it.
What?
You were going to thank him for the keychain, but instead just shook your head smiling. Cove raised an eyebrow, but didn't push the issue. Cove looked up further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all of this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch.
Let's get some food.
Yeah. You two wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamon. And you got one with cheese. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed you your pretzels over, ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey, melted cheese, just the way you liked it. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating normal food. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit down.
God, imagine living in a place nice enough for that to be possible. If I tried to do anything like this when I was a kid, I would have just been... There was so many dangers around where I live. Was not the kind of place where you could just, like, wander around on your own. It was not that safe. But, let's just get back to the story.
These balloons are gonna make it hard to eat. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his balled-up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know! After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh.
Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remain attached, he smiled, satisfied. Could you help me too? I can't tie it to my own wrist. You repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and a string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
I got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow easy munching on your pretzels.
Don't cause mine or his balloon to fly into the sky. That would be very awkward.
You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time, you finished your pretzel. You were done before Cove. It was boring not having anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hand, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned to face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too.
Mine's name is Cherry. She's actually an alien.
When no one is looking, she transforms back into her true alien self. She has purple skin and 10 eyes. You sighed, wishing you could meet a real-life alien. What's yours? Cove considered this question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation.
It's...
With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons.
Well, that's not any better than what I said.
Oh, no. For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes. You saw a tear start to glisten. You offered to find Alexander. You offered to give Cove your balloon. You looked at Cove, then up to your balloon, bobbing gently in the air above you. You can have mine. That was better than letting him cry more. Cove sniffled, glancing up at the balloon, then back at you. No, it's yours. I don't want to take it from you. It's okay, really. Cove shook his head. Even though it wasn't your fault, you felt bad. Still, the offer seemed to lift Cove's Cove's spirits, and that was good. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset, fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been a good one, except for the sad final note.
Alrighty. That was the first memory. So, I don't want to end the summer until we've gone through everything. I have a feeling this is going to be quite the long series, and I'm here for it. I hope all of you guys are here for it well. I will keep posting as long as there is still some interest, as the top 250 series is supposed to be me completing a game, unless it's like ungodly long, like some of the ones on that list. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. And for now, I am going to close the door on this one.